Welcome to the Sahara!
Yeah, we're finally in the dunes in Morocco. It's going to be a nice adventure ahead.
If you're new here, I'm Chris.
I'm Ange.
And we've got a little boy, Oakley, who's 2 years old in the truck. We have taken our 50-year-old ex-Swedish military Volvo here. We built it last year and now it's time for us to explore and we live in it full time.
So we're basically going to tackle a 280 kilometers off-road route all the way to the beautiful city and oasis of Figuig, which is just on the border with Algeria. So yeah, I think not many overlanders do this road. So I think that's going to be quite a cool adventure.
Now Morocco and Algeria are not too happy with each other. So we may encounter some Moroccan military patrols who may move us on. I've heard they're friendly, hopefully, but we need to be careful about camping too close to the border or accidentally straying over the border into Algeria. So we'll see how we go. Come with us on an epic Sahara adventure. Okay, so let's go over our itinerary in Morocco so far. So we started near the port of Gibraltar and we got our ferry to the port of Tangier Med. From Tangier Med we drove down to Chefchaouen, which is where the beautiful blue Medina is. From Chefchaouen we drove to the big city of Fez, and then from Fez we went towards the town of Gersif. From Gersif we came to then Debdou, and then from Debdou we jumped on the Trans-Moroccan Trail, which was our last video if you missed it, and from Debdou we were off-road all the way through here somewhere to the town of Anoual. From Anoual we drove to the town of Tendrara towards the Algerian border, and we've just left pavement at Tendrara this morning and we are now heading towards the border town of Ish, which is the most eastern town in Morocco. So we may end up off-roading all the way down to the beautiful oasis town of Figuig, which is where we're hoping we'll end up tomorrow. So we've been on the trail for a little bit over an hour before we stopped for lunch, and it's been really interesting, completely different to the last trail we did as part of the Trans-Moroccan Trail. This is much more feeling like the Sahara now, and there's these rolling sand dunes in the distance, and there's not so many kind of mountain ranges and valleys yet. But the truck so far that's why we went into that little sand dune area there, just to test the vehicle out. I'm only in 4-wheel drive at the moment in high range. I did go into low range for that. I don't have the front 6x6 engaged at this stage. I just kind of want to feel out how dense the sand dunes are. We're used to Australian ones, which I think for world standards are pretty soft. So I'm hoping these will be a little bit less of a challenge than we find in Bowser when we're going up sand dunes, because what we make up for in off-road prowess, we lose in power loss with this vehicle. It's really just not a powerful engine. And on the little way here, it was quite a rocky track. We've unfortunately taken a hiding. Get Ange to show on the mirror. Don't know if you can see there, but our back wheel shot a rock straight at that mirror and broke it, but I can still see out of it pretty well. Once we left the town of Tenjara, we parked up next to an old abandoned railway station, which was kind of neat, and then I dropped the PSI on all 6 tyres from 25 down to 15, and then I can now drop lower and lower and lower. We do have beadlocks, outer beadlock rings, so I think we'll be able to drop our tyre pressure incredibly low if or when we need to for the dunes, but we'll see how we go for now, because it's about conserving as much fuel as we can. So I don't want to drop really low already and unnecessarily increase our fuel consumption.
Oh, it's a bit a random site.
Random site in the desert.
That, yeah, overflowing water with lots of green crops. Or
it almost looks like there must be an underground spring there that runs year round. And it's feeding this giant floodplain here, which looks like a really bad place to drive. That looks like serious bogged territory. Like a lizard just went into a hole.
Oh.
It's gone.
So you can see there are lots of tire marks. So yeah, this trail has probably been done by other overlanders or even potentially even locals quite recently. But we following the trail on Wikiloc. There are so many variations of like Tendara to Figuig, which we are going to. So we chose one that actually has been done recently, like a month ago, by an expedition truck. So at least we know it's bigger, it's heavier than us. At least we know that a big vehicle has done this track, so we'll be absolutely fine. So yeah, it's the adventure. Sometimes you kind of like follow the trail and then you lose it, and then you have to head back and try and find your own way.
I'd be a bit nervous if there was 0 tracks going through these dunes. It's fun. I really like this. This is totally different from Australia.
Yeah, it's very different from the Simpson Desert where we had done some sand dune driving.
Totally different.
Yeah, especially like when you see like the big mountains in the background over there, that's where we're heading. Ah, cool. If you've been following the channel for quite some time, you know that Grace loves all kind of reptiles, and he's got such a good eye to spot them. We've been on some tracks or sometimes even on the highway in Australia, and he just slammed the brake, and I'm like, what's happening? And he's like, oh, I've just spotted the lizard. I always wanted to see that lizard. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how did you even see, like, watch the road and as well the lizard? You've got like a crazy spotting eye. Did he go in his little hole as well?
I was hoping he was going to make a run for it and I was going to make chase, but he didn't. He has a very good hole right there. It's He was just sunbathing. Such a beautifully bright green lizard for out here. I'm kind of like don't expect it. So this is the sort of terrain we have to be careful of because it kind of turns into a little bit of like a clay salt pan here. So stuff like this can be really deceiving. So we need to go slow over this stuff, make sure we don't break through the surface, because if we do I'll reverse and we can go around. It looks very dry. Okay, I think we've found our spot for the day. Not too bad at all. We've got 360-degree views. It's an absolute barren wasteland out here. It's only about 4 p.m, so it's pretty early in the day. We don't want to drive too much further because the closer we go towards the town of Ish, the closer we go to the Algerian border, which is this kind of mountain range here. So the closer we get, the more likely we are to have a Moroccan military patrol tell us that we have to go all the way to Ish today and can't camp. So we're hoping we're fine here. We're still quite far away from the border. I don't know exactly how many kilometers, but when we look on the map for our actual like off-road route, we're as far kind of away from the border as we can be. And we are noticing the sun stays up a lot later than we're used to, which is really nice, but it's also a bit tricky with Oakley because he sort of gets sleepy and ready for bed at about 6:30 or 7, but at the moment it's still quite bright outside at that time, so it's taking a bit for him to get used to.
In 2 days time we're actually changing time as well in Morocco, because in a week time there's the start of the Ramadan. So I think they're changing the time so that they can start eating a little bit earlier for dinner. So yeah, that's gonna as well impact a little bit with Oakley, but I'm sure we'll adapt quite fast.
So Ramadan's going to be quite interesting in Morocco. We're not sure how it's going to be, if shops are going to shut and stuff. We're going to find it difficult to get basic amenities, but a lot of travelers just refuse to travel during Ramadan in countries like Morocco. We're hoping it'll be fine. In fact, it might make it even more quiet for us, which will be really nice. We'll know more once Ramadan begins. I'll set up the tent soon and we'll probably have a pretty early night, I would say. See you tomorrow for the rest of the trail, and I think the scenery is going to change quite a bit. Just had our first military checkpoint. So we're quite close to the Algerian border now, and now instead of going to Ish, we've now turned off to go towards Figuig. Not much point going to Ish for us because it's basically completely ruined. They had terrible flooding in 2008 and the city wasn't rebuilt, so no real point for us going there. But yeah, that military checkpoint here was pretty friendly, and an AK-47 on his back. Things are getting serious now.
Bye-bye from Australia? The scale.
The first expedition truck we've seen actually doing an expedition. That's awesome. An Austrian couple with a very cool truck then. They're just leaving Figuig today, so kind of the exact opposite direction to where we're going. That thing was similar to Bowser's size. I reckon that was roughly 3.6 meters high, similar length. Absolutely dwarfed Skadi when it drove past. Our little boy does not seem to want to have his nap this morning, so that's why we're out in the middle of nowhere here, just throwing rocks around, seeing if we can tire him out a little bit. If not, we'll just have to keep driving. School's always out.
All right, so we've made it to Figuig. What a interesting day we've had.
Yeah, it's cool though. This is a really cool town, really random.
Yeah, so after basically we finished the track, so towards the end you get closer and closer to the border with Algeria, where basically the border is like naturally made with the mountains, but you can see as well they've made some walls out of, like, I don't know, yeah, like out of mud, those walls with Algeria. And yeah, we got,
yeah, it's like just earthworks that they've put up to make the wall.
We've had a few military checkpoints, and yeah, we arrived in a city, it was so busy, like kids everywhere. We parked up just in front of a military base where we knew we could park and just add like a snack, anything, and then went to town to get a bit groceries, some cash at the ATM, and the city was completely
nothing.
Dead, like no one. Most of the shops were shut. It's Saturday.
It's almost like they do a siesta, like they do in Spain.
So yeah, my first time doing kind of like a grocery shop at the locals, like just got some pasta, a few fruits and veg, just like little small bits and bobs here and there, but yeah, enough to last for the next few days. And then we met some locals who we asked, who's actually as well a local guide. We asked where we could have a dinner, so we went to Riyadh tonight and we had a very nice meal.
It was kind of like a set meal, I guess, and they just brought it out. They didn't even ask any questions, they just brought it out. It was 150 dirhams, so that's like 15 euro roughly.
Yeah.
And it was delicious. It was so much food, lots of dates and beautiful chicken and like a really nice chicken broth, and it was beautiful food.
Yeah, the meal is called trid, and there's like this puff pastry made out of flour and semolina. Yeah, flour as well, like
they were almost
semolina.
Like Moroccan dumplings.
Yeah, like
they were,
yeah, like a rice roll a bit.
Delicious, yeah, really, really nice.
Yeah, so that's nice to try a bit more cuisine. We in Fez as well tried the chicken pastilla, which is as well another traditional meal. A little bit of a tagine, and we had some sweets. So yeah, we're trying
the local cuisine finally.
And yeah, so far it's been all amazing. And now we're just trying to find camp. A lot of people are parking back in town, but it's super
busy. And in the Arab as well as the Spanish world, people are awake quite late, whereas we need to go to bed so early because of Oakley. So we're normally silent at like 6 p.m.
So yeah, we kind of like drove on the outskirts of the town and found this little spot, which is much nicer. We've got a nice palm tree views and...
So we've opted to not use Muhammad, the local guide, which it seems most people who come here use him because it shows them all around. But because of Oakley, we've decided we'll just do our own thing, and then maybe we'll keep driving tomorrow. So we'll probably go for a drive through these palm groves, just do our own little tiki tour of the city and see if we can see some things. But I do know they use like almost like a medieval irrigation system, which they still use today, to feed water to all the date palm plantations. So that's kind of the famous thing to see here. So we'll try and find it if we can.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
Good night. Good morning. Hope you had a better night's sleep than we did last night.
Oh my God.
So soon after we spoke to you, we had a police officer tell us that we had to go back to the centre of town, to the military checkpoint that we had parked in earlier in the day, so that they could keep an eye on our security. And man, the town was so loud last night, and then it started pouring with rain, and while it was pouring with rain, some sort of like electrical transformer was exploding and arcing and creating like this crazy Tesla coil noise. So yeah, it was a rough night, but we are up early regardless to explore this absolute date palm paradise. We've taken ourselves on our own little tour, and so far it is really, really amazing.
Insane. And it's quite hard to find information online, like where to go. So we kind of like look at Google Maps, to some streets where to kind of like venture and just do our own thing. But we were telling ourselves that this place is gonna 100% become more famous at some stage, and you're gonna see all the Instagram people coming here to put over the palm trees for sure.
Like the rice fields in Bali, right? Like this is so photogenic. So these are the traditional ways that they bring water through this date plantation, and it's fascinating to see because apparently they have been farming dates like this for centuries, kind of thing. Actually, I don't know. It's ages.
Yeah, so they harvest the dates in summer, early autumn, so it's not the harvesting season at the moment. So yeah, that would have been cool to see, but yeah, at the moment it's so
beautiful.
Well.
So you've got a big nice mountain range in the background. I think that's going more towards Algeria here, and then behind me it's almost like this cliff type embankment just filled with caves. It's a really peculiar landscape, like nothing we've seen before. So yeah, we're finding it really good. So we're just going to carry on our little walk, and we might bring Skadi for a little drive later on as well, because this is just magical. Yesterday we left the city of Figuig and we are heading towards our next destination, which is the exciting dunes of FGB. But yeah, overall we recommend you go to Figuig. That was so cool. That was amazing. I think in the next decade, that's going to become a tourist hotspot, I think. We walked through an amazing old Ksar, so it's K-S-A-R. They're an old rammed earth and stone fortified village that are ancient. They're centuries old, and they are built by the Berbers, and they're basically a maze of alleyways and tiny narrow streets, and they protect the inhabitants from not only the harsh desert weather, but also from raiders. So yeah, really fascinating to go through them, and they haven't changed for centuries. So that was a real highlight for us, being able to walk through those alleyways. They had like sometimes smoke billowing through from like a chimney somewhere. At one point we stumbled across a mosque which just towered up above into the sunshine, and some of the alleyways we were passing through were pitch black. It was really hard for the eyes and the camera to adjust due to the high dynamic range change. It was cool. It was really cool.
So stay tuned for our next adventures. We're excited. We've got some cool adventure already. In less than 10 days, we've done a lot. So yeah, stay tuned for the coming weeks.
Yeah, we've got some proper off-road remote adventures through the sand dunes of the Sahara. So it's going to be wild. We'll see if Scotty can really cope in the sand.
All right, see you in the next one.
Cheers.